Hey, my guess is that you have seen the announcement of my retirement from full-time ministry and our lead pastor role here at MCC. And I got to tell you, I appreciate the support and encouragement that we're receiving as we move through this process. And I want to reiterate that I've been praying about this for 3 years now, and I began talking to our elders about it for a little over a year. I've slowed down, and I believe God's kingdom and MCC specifically deserves and needs someone who has the energy to be the lead pastor. And so, the elders have tried to talk me out of it, or at least just slow me down, but I believe the time is right. And I'm looking forward. I'm eager to find out who God is preparing for us already now. The elders asked me a very wise question that I hadn't quite figured out. They told me that retirement shouldn't be merely a leaving, but also a going to something. And so I began to think about that and praying about it. And I was asked by some folks outside of MCC if I would be willing to become the preacher at a smaller congregation, or to help mentor young leaders, or to work in a parachurch organization. And while I may be asked to speak elsewhere from time to time, although not regularly, and I hope to encourage church leaders, neither of those are what I believe God is pulling us toward. So Sandy and I were talking about what I would do next, and mostly because she doesn't want me around the house all the time because I drive her nuts. But I remembered that I always thought working with senior adults would be fun. I think that those with the most life experience have a lot to offer to the kingdom. And I know John has mentioned this before, and I've talked about it a little bit, but the 65 and older demographic is growing faster than even the school-age population, with projections showing that group will make up nearly 1/4 of Ohio's population in the coming years. And listen, not all of our friends who are in that age group know, love, and follow Jesus. So my plan is to make sure we flood our senior population with those equipped to be disciple makers, and to make sure we're all giving of our resources, including our time and our abilities and financially, and to make sure we are the biggest cheerleaders for the generations coming behind us. I love Psalm 127. Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from Him. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth. Blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. And listen, we all know arrows get shot to where the warrior can't go. And our children and students and young adults are going to reach people we may not even be around to meet. And it will be our privilege to encourage them. Plus, we're going to have a ton of fun in the process. And the plan is to make everyone else jealous that they're not part of the 55 plus group. Hey, let's get ready for this weekend. When I read a story to my grandchildren, sometimes those stories will start with the well-known phrase, "Once upon a time." And when we hear those words, we know that we're getting ready to hear an imaginary story. But when Jesus teaches stories, they're not fictitious stories or figments of his imagination. They're solid spiritual truths that have eternal value. So in the Gospel of Mark, he is, for the first time in our reading this past week, introducing parables to his readers. Jesus was communicating what the kingdom of heaven was like. And when Jesus explained the kingdom, he didn't do it by giving a lecture on theology, but by painting pictures that captured the imagination of the people. And for those who don't know what a parable is, our English word comes from two Greek words that means to throw or to cast alongside. So a parable is a story placed alongside a teaching to help us understand its meaning. Something on earth is compared with something in heaven, that the heavenly truth may be better grasped in light of the earthly story. But even more, it was designed to get the listener deeply involved, to compel them to make a decision about God's truth in their life. It becomes a mirror in which we see ourselves. One of the stories we read this past week is about a farmer sowing seed. And you and I are actually in that story. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with you this week. So listen, whether you're online or on campus, I'm looking forward to seeing you.